Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704 once again for episode 102. One more till 103, and we'll talk about what's happening in 103 later, but 102 of the 815 Exchange, and combat sports had some interesting things happen. Of course, we got the MLB Draft today, so we'll do a little preview of that, and of course, we'll talk about entertainment and rolling out when we get there next week and all that stuff. But yeah, it was a pretty solid week. Had some interesting things happen. Like Bron popped up at the Drew League. We'll talk about that during, I guess, I'll probably replace the Worlds. I was going to do the World Championships as the main segment, but I'll probably switch that out for the NBA segment. But yeah, plenty of stuff happened this week in entertainment. Plenty of stuff happened this week in sports. So it should be a good episode. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. And as always, long-form content, I understand it. And if you've been here, you know everything you are looking for, everything that you desire can be found in the description. So all of my social media links you can find in the description. If you're looking for timestamps as well, that can be found in the description. You really want to hear me talk about Bron dropping 42 and 16 with DeMar DeRozan at the Drew League, or you really want to go to the Roundup and hear me talk about why Fred Curley is Henry Turner, all of that and more, yeah, everything you want in the description, all that stuff. But yeah, without further ado, no need to prolong this intro any longer. Combat sports, because my, do we have some things to discuss. The most polarizing figure probably in boxing right now is Ryan Garcia. Hated and loved, essentially equally depending on who you ask. Some think he's too focused on social media. Some hate him because they think he's a pretty boy. All of it. Some people adore him. He gets the casual people. The man is a model. It is what it is. But he also has the skills to back it up, as once again, and it finally looked like, I know he faced To Go earlier this year, or really less than, 3 months ago? And he, went to decision anyways. It was like the comeback fight. I didn't even really watch that fight. I watched this one because I felt like this was the true comeback. This was the true, all right, we'll see where he's at. We'll see how much he's developed. He's no longer with Reynos, so we'll see where Ryan Garcia sits amongst, 2 years ago, we anointed the 4 princes of boxing, T.O., Ryan, Gervonta, and of course the current undisputed champ Devin Haney. We anointed them, and and now it was time for us to watch as their careers progress and see where they had. And now they've all gone, kind of on different paths. T.O. reached the mountaintop the first, then lost it. Devin currently is at the top. Gervonta has all the momentum, and Ryan, after taking a break, a lot of people had him in the 4th spot, not even getting the bronze. But against Javier Fortuna, Ryan Garcia, I think he put in the performance he needed to put on. He showed the improvements that at least I personally needed to see. I needed to see where Ryan Garcia was at as a boxer. How much has he developed? Has he regressed? Was that Tego performance earlier this year? Was that a fluke, or was that, just him knocking the rust off? It appears it was him knocking the rust off. I mean, he just completely and utterly outclassed Fortuna in this fight. Now, a lot of people will be like, oh, Fortuna, he wasn't fighting anybody. Fortuna is a former world champion. Do not give me that. Do not give me that. Gervonta Davis just faced Rolando Romero. With all due respect to Raleigh as a character, and even I gave him his props, as thinking maybe he was better than I expected. During that fight, let's relax and not act like, Tank didn't just fight Rolly like that's some great supreme opponent. And Tank looked very human in that fight, and I think Tank would admit that as well. Now, Ryan, like I said, he looked better. Now, Kurt's definitely things defensively. I want to see him get better. Footwork, I want to see him get better. But, yeah, his just pure boxing skill, his hand speed, his power, even defensively, he looked better, right? He looked better. He was getting in and out. He used his length a little bit, not as much as maybe he could have, but he definitely used it. It was a very good performance. Do not get me wrong. He was landing. He was finding his shots. And the thing I was most impressed from Ryan Garcia in this fight was his poise. He was composed. Where maybe a younger fighter with the talent, maybe even a younger Ryan Garcia would have, at certain points during some of those knockdowns, he would have tried to put Fortuna away and maybe fallen into a trap. He never got too over it. He never got too high. He never got too low. He stayed even kill. He waited for his moment and he took advantage. And I think that's one of the most powerful things you can have as a fighter, not just in boxing, but also in MMA, is having composure, having poise, right? Because we've seen, how many times have we seen a guy feel like he's got the fight in reach and then get countered and that's it? Fall to the dangers. We've seen that time after time after time after time again. And Ryan Garcia did not fall for it. He did not fall for it. He stayed even kill. And yeah, I was very, very impressed. Very, very impressed. I know a lot of people think that Tank fight is a massacre. I even said I thought Tank would knock him out. I'm not so sure anymore. I think it's very much a possibility. But after seeing Tank versus Rolly, I think that fight is a lot closer than people think. I think that fight is a lot closer than people think. I think people watch Tank's highlights and not so much his fights and just kind of fall into that trap because, again, he's very, very skillful. He's very, very talented. I was calling for him to fight Haney, but I'm fine if, we want to do Campbell wants his rematch. That's fine. Haney or at least Tank at 140 versus Ryan, since Ryan's not going back to 135. It feels like they're all kind of growing. And that's not them ducking each other. That's just kind of natural growth. Ryan Garcia looked massive. I'm not going to lie to you. He looked massive versus Fortuna. And that's going to be another interesting if Tank and, Flash fight is the sense of Tank is even smaller than Fortuna. Ryan is going to tower over Tank. Now, that'll allow Tank to, add some power, add some strength, but he is going to tower over Tank. So that's just another element. I think it's a very compelling fight. I wouldn't be mad at it if they make it happen. They keep calling for it. I hope they do. But, Ryan, listen, I know a lot of people have a lot to say. Even I haven't agreed with some of the statements he's come out with recently, but dude's got the goods, man. He's got the goods. He's talented. You cannot sit here and watch these fights and just be blinded by your hatred. Or you can, because that makes more money for him ultimately. Because guess what? Whether you love him or you hate him, you are tuning in. And that is what's important. That's what matters. So we had Yair Rodriguez take on Brian T. City Ortega. And, honestly, I don't have much to say about this because this ended very, very early. Now, this should have been a great fight. Probably, bar Volk and Max, probably the two best, I think a lot of people would say in that division. However, unfortunately, T-City's shoulder popped out trying to escape the submission. It is what it is. There's not really much to say about this fight. It sucks. It should have been a great fight. Yair, T-City, very, very entertaining fighters. But, unfortunately, injuries happen in the game. That is the game. I think that's what Yair said. So, to quote him, that is the game. Unfortunately, hopefully they can run it back. But, yeah, just unfortunate way that ended. However, on the rest of the card, even though I wouldn't say it was it wasn't like an all-time card like some of the cards we've seen, but it was still a pretty good card. Had some very, very, very interesting things happen. Michelle Watterson, now going by Michelle Watterson Gomez, taking her husband's last name. Anyways, the Karate Hottie got tapped by Amanda Lemos. Back and forth fight. I think I had Lemos winning up to that point there in round 2. But yeah, Lemos just got her in the guillotine. It's deadly, had it tight. The ref didn't even see the tap, but they kept it very respectful. Lemos could have went with a super necessary and kept holding on, but she respectfully let it go. Karate Hottie didn't fake it. She has integrity. I respect it. But yeah, Lemos, huge win, gets her back on track, moves her back up those rankings. There's a lot more uncertainty, I think, than there's been in the past about kind of the women's divisions champs. For a while there, we had Amanda, we had Val just kind of reigning supreme over everybody else in the respective divisions. Like, they were untouchable. They could not be touched. They were just better. That much better than everybody else in the divisions. And now, with the way that, Talia fought against Val, what we just literally had and what's set up, with Nunes getting upset by Pena, and that fight actually coming up in a couple weeks, I think maybe 2 weeks from now. It's a lot more uncertainty, so a huge win for Lemos. We'll see if she can continue to build on that momentum. Also on this card, that Schnell Slimberdaji fight was nuts. All right, that whole round was ridiculous. That second round was ridiculous. One of the best rounds of the year. That looked like a murder. The way Schnell, that looked like a horror film. with the blood all over the mat, and then just the sub. It was insane. If you have not, if you can somehow find your way and get a copy to watch, just even if you don't see the first round, see the second round of that fight, it is a treat. So yeah, shout out to Matt Chanel getting the win. But yeah, that was a banger of a fight. And yeah, UFC, a lot of momentum. It's been a lot of fun covering UFC this year. With everything kind of happened, some of the maneuvers, some of the champs looking more human than usual. It's been interesting, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, Yair and Brian can run that back, and Brian, well wishes on the recovery. Moving on now, let's do the NBA. We'll let the MLB main event since we got the MLB draft and that's what's going on. But we'll talk about the NBA. Not too much to talk about, however. But of course, the big thing was not even the summer league. It wasn't an off-season move. It was announced Friday by DeMar DeRozan, even though not really too many people picked up on it, through a tweet that Lebron and DeMar would be teaming up on Saturday for Drew League action for the first time since the lockout. Now, as a basketball fan, the lockout sucked. Don't get me wrong. Not having basketball, it was terrible. However, there would always be the nostalgia, and we will always be able to go on YouTube and watch. It's kind of similar to the early days of the pandemic. That's the best way to put it. It wasn't a great situation, but the entertainment we got out of it, and in this case with the lockout, with the players going overseas, or the Hoop mixtape, or the Ball's Life of these guys, KD at Rucker, or whatever Pro-Am, the Baltimore Pro-Am, the Drew League, Bron and the Drew League, Kobe hitting the game winner in the Drew League. All those memories, all those videos, were good. Just kind of reminder that we got on Saturday as Bron and DeMar, who usually plays, by the way, in the Drew League, descended upon. And it was that game had no business being as good as it was, first off. Even though the cameraman was, by all means, an amateur cameraman, would not make it in the NBA. I mean, he would not. I mean, I'm not sure if he would make it in the high school ranks, all right? Camera work was all over the place. I get it was packed way more than normal because of the announcement that Bron was there. And he got mobbed like he was Jesus. But, the camera work was all over the place. But, however, it would end up being a great game. I think they only won by, 1 point. Bron ended up with 42 and 16, going half speed. It was glorious. DeMar was solid in the first half. And then, I'm not going to lie, DeMar was kind of selling in the fourth. I'm going to let him pass. And, a lot of people thought a random guy had DeMar in prison. But that was actually Stanley Johnson. So, I'll give him a pass because of another NBA player. But DeMar did not have his finest game. However, Bron was on. But like I said, he was playing half speed. I mean, it was just for it was a casual outing. He probably could have had 70 points if he actually tried. And of course, he was taking it easy on defense. So I mean, but still, 42 and 16, and it was a great treat. It was cool to see. Just kind of how electric that crowd was. The Drew League always does well and does. I mean, it's one of probably the most well known, at least in the States, in terms of off-season pro-ams with the talent and just kind of its reputation. But it was still cool to see Bron come out and do that, especially in year 20 at his age. Not something he has to do, but it was cool. Just a cool feature to see. For a second, I wouldn't have been surprised if Bronny pulled up and they did a team up. I wouldn't mind if they did that. I know he didn't have EYBL this week, so I thought that might be a possibility. But nonetheless, seeing Bron and DeMar, that was cool. That was cool. Just a cool moment. And kind of threw us back to the lockouts. In the Summer League, however, I will say Knicks and Blazers. Shout out to the Knicks. I mean, this might be something you can raise a banner for, since it seems like you're not going to win a championship anytime soon. And really, you could say this also about Portland. Maybe, just maybe, you can raise a Summer League banner and celebrate a Summer League championship as they are heading to the championship. I'm not sure if I agree with the new format, however, I will say that. But, I guess congrats to the Knicks and congrats to the Blazers. Young players are, handling business and getting it done so far. Kenny Lofton continues to stay excited. I'm trying to think who else. Keegan Murray has been playing out of his mind. But again, like I said, I'm not too surprised by that. I mean, if you saw what he did in college, and just kind of that is easily going to translate, at least to the Summer League. We'll see if it translates to the league in real time, but definitely going to translate to the Summer League. He's been dropping 30, it seems like, every game. So, Keegan Murray balling out for the Kings. But, Kings, Blazers, Summer League final. If you want, you can tell me who you got in that. Now, to head over to entertainment. And, know the boys this week. Yeah, I know, it's just tragic. Absolutely tragic. Know the boys. How will I cope? We will talk about Miss Marvel. We'll actually talk about Miss Marvel in full. Honestly, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I feel like I've said that every single week. Not that I'm like shocked that it wasn't bad, but I mean, I think it was pretty well worth in terms of like what the critics were saying. I think it was well worth. I don't know if it's gonna be like for everybody and like everybody's gonna be like, oh wow, this is the greatest Marvel TV show of all time. But it was a very good show. It was a very, very good show. Honestly, pretty overall satisfying ending. Did his job. It gave the representation it needed. It introduced Kamala and the characters around her. I think very, very well, and you could see her growth and how her characterization kind of increased. The suit looks great. Looks fantastic. By the way, in live action, I was kind of interested to see how it was going to be incorporated. It looks great. Like I said, Iman, she killed it as Kamala. Felt supernatural. So yeah, another great casting choice by Sarah at Marvel. Carol showed up at the end, as I think everybody expected. No spoilers. That shouldn't even really be a spoiler. There's the movie coming out in like a year. So yeah, Carol showed up at the end. It seemed like her and kind of Kamala swapped. I hope that she was not in space, or that's going to be very awkward for Kamala. But we'll see what happens there. Kamran left, so we'll see what happens there in the clandestine and what happens with the rest of them. They got taken by Damage Control. Damage Control. I'm very, very interested to see where Feige and Marvel, where they're going to go with Damage Control, because there's a lot of different avenues and where they could take that, but we'll see. We'll see. We also had the other very, very big reveal of the season finale. Mutants are in the MCU, which means the X-Men are coming to the MCU. So go ahead and go crazy with your predicted and hopeful casting choices for that and what to expect. But yes, it appears that mutants, and that means the X-Men, are coming to the MCU. Very excited about that. It seems like Secret Wars is going to be the next kind of major event of probably not going to happen in Phase 4, but maybe like Phase 5. Anyways, that seems like what we're building to. Anyways, I'm very excited. I'm currently going back and reading Hickman's Secret Wars, so yeah. That's cool. And yeah, Miss Marvel, it was good. If you want to, give it a chance. You'll probably enjoy it. Like I said earlier, it's not like Falcon and Winter Soldier or Loki or any of those. But it is still a solid TV show. And I don't think it's a waste of time. It was very good in my opinion. So yeah, shout out to Kamala. And shout out to Aman and the rest of the crew at Miss Marvel. I also finished Superman&Lois. Now listen, I retired from the CW, DC, superhero shows a long time ago, alright? It's been a while. I don't watch Flash. I think I watched the last bit of Arrow on YouTube, just watching the clips. I have retired. I don't even watch Legends of Tomorrow. I think that's canceled anyway. I did not watch Batwoman. So I retired. But I had heard good things about Superman&Lois, and I'd seen a little couple things here and there. And honestly, it was good. It was good. It was a typical CW DC show. An amazing or very good first season. We'll see how season 2 is going and when it drops on HBO Max, because I do not care to download the CW app and watch it myself. But season 1 was good. Season 1 was good. We'll see what happens though, but season 1 is good. Also, the effects were a lot better than I was expecting. That's one thing I was worried about, is kind of how is that going to translate? What type of budget are they working with? But honestly, the effects, perfectly fine. CG was not that bad. It could have been a whole lot worse, so I'll give it a pass. Hoechlin, Bree, they're great as Superman&Lois or Clark and Lois. The kids are compelling. It was a good show. It was a good season. So yeah, falling into that all again. We'll see if season 2 is good as season 1, however. Now, let's talk about music. And there was not really anybody over here in the States that dropped. I had some other people drop that I reacted to. If you want to go back and look at that, you can go and watch the reaction videos. However, as some of you know, I am going to Miami this week for Rolling Loud. And one of the big headliners of the 3 with Kendrick and Future was supposed to be Kanye. But however, I am a rational human being, so I'm going to be completely honest. I was not surprised when I got the message 30 minutes ago from Rolling Loud's Twitter that Kanye was not going to be showing up and was replaced by Kid Cudi. I was not surprised. I was not surprised in the least. It would have been cool to see Ye, but I was not surprised. I'm also not the biggest Ye fan. Even though I'm a Ye fan, I'm just not like one of those, praise God, Kanye is the greatest of all time. I am not one of those people, so that was no problem for me. I'm here for Kendrick and Future, right? And everybody else, Lil Baby, like I'm good with that. That's the price of my admission. Not seeing Ye is not a deal breaker. Now that's going to be a deal breaker for some people, and I know a lot of people are going to be upset with Rolling Loud. Some of the friends I'm going with are probably going to be very upset with Rolling Loud about this. However, I am fine. I am fine. I'm getting to go to the 305 for a week. I'm great. I'm good. I'm good. Now, next week's episode will be live from the 305. That is the current plan. I will let you know if anything changes, but it would be very hard for me to film an episode in 3 days. That makes sense for next week with nothing draft-wise coming up or anything else. So I think it just makes sense for me to film in the 305, and y'all get that. Now for what I decided to beckon as the main events of the week, the MLB. The MLB, yes. It is All-Star Weekend. Or technically All-Star. It's kind of weird, I'm not going to lie. We have games going on like today, but also All-Star Weekend has started. I don't know who did the scheduling. I know normally it usually cuts off if we don't have games. But like the Yankees and Red Sox are playing right now, and we had the celebrity softball game yesterday. So I'm kind of all over the place. We had the Futures game yesterday as well, which I believe the AL won. The Martian hit a home run. But he also had a gap in center field, but, you know, we'll allow it. He had the home run. I just need that defense, you know, to work when it really matters, all right? And for him to keep progressing, it doesn't seem like he's going to be the generational talent he was supposed to be, but I would be fine if he's just like a superstar. You know, I'd be fine if the Martian is just a superstar or a five-tool talent. You know, I'm perfectly fine with that. But, yeah, Martian homers, the A's, Shea Langeliers, caught somebody stunned, also hit a home run. He gets MVP. That's perfectly fine with me. Max Wynn threw 100 miles per hour from shortstop. That poor first baseman. But yeah, Futures game, always fun to see some of the top prospects. And there's been a lot of movement in the top prospects list, especially this year with everything going on. So yeah, very interesting. Let's see who's at the top and kind of where that's going. Staying with prospects, of course, the MLB Draft is tonight. It is a great draft. So if you do want to check out the MLB Draft, hopefully you did. Because I just remembered that this will be up after the MLB Draft, the day after. So we will see who the Orioles picked first overall. Was it Drew Jones? Was it Elijah Green? Was it Jackson Holliday? Was it Tamar Johnson? Who knows? But it is a very, very good draft, especially for hitters. Pitchers, there was a lot of injuries in college, so that was unfortunate. Even Lesko, even Dylan Lesko got hurt. The Georgia pitcher who was top 5 seemingly for most of his high school career. But it is a great day if you need a hitter. It is a great day. You need a bat. You need somebody. It is a great day. But yeah, Drew looks special. Elijah. I mean, any of those 4 that I listed, I think those are the 4 consistent top 4. Drew, Elijah, Jackson, and Tamar just look great. A great week also for, you know, sons of former players with Matt Holliday's son and Andrew Jones' son in this class with Jackson and Drew. So, yeah, should be very interesting. But, yeah, we'll see who the Orioles pick as another great prospect comes to the AL Beast. Speaking of the AL Beast, the greatest rivalry in all of baseball is currently going on between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Now, we put it on Boston. Oh, my goodness. We put it on Boston last night. Matt Carpenter, by the way, who's currently the best hitter in the MLB, even though he's not a starter, is hitting 360. 2 7 RBI games as of yesterday, as we won 14-1. He had 7 ribbies, 2 3-1 home runs. I mean, what more to say about Matt? Thank you, Cardinals. I appreciate him. We love him just as much as you do. The Judge also knocked off the slump, all right? He's still hitting 280, hit 2 home runs yesterday. He's got a run, I know, in today's game. So, yeah, Judge up good, Yankees up good. Red Sox down bad. Red Sox down bad. Not just because they got massacred last night, but Chris Sale made his return start today and immediately took a pinky shot from Aaron Hicks. 101 miles per hour, or it's either 103 or 101, I think, miles per hour off the bat to the pinky. It's broken. I don't need a diagnosis. I looked at it. I did not need to look at it long, but I looked at it. Chris Sale broke his pinky. That is just unfortunate. Even as a Yankees fan, and, you know, boo Red Sox, it's unfortunate. All right, Sale's a great player. He's a great pitcher. And yeah, just it sucks to see. Super unlucky. But yeah, Boston's down bad. New York looking like we up good heading into the All-Star break. Now, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the Roundup. And we're going to start with Worlds. I was going to give Worlds its own segment this week, but I was like, nah, not too much has happened. It's like day 3, so yeah, nothing too crazy's happened. The craziest thing that happened, though, is big news. Fred Curley, Himothy, Hemi Turner, Him Duncan, Hemi Hendricks. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to call him, he's him. Fred is him. I think I tweeted that out. He is him. Fred Curley is him. Him. Capital H, capital I, capital M. And you know who else is him? Marvin Bracey Williams. Trayvon Bromell. Because, ladies and gentlemen, break out your red, white, and blue broomsticks because it was a clean sweep. The Great Americans, all right? The Great American Sprinters. Yeah, we got the clean sweep. We got the clean sweep. You know, you'd love to see it. First time since 91. Carl Lewis did it both times, by the way. Carl Lewis, by the way, just looking back at that. He nearly did it 10 years apart in the World Championships. Nuts. Anyways, Fred Curley has fully justified the decision to drop down from being one of the elite in the 400 to now being the fastest man in the world. His fastest one was in the first heat. He ran a 9.79, and that was his fastest a whole week. Insane. Wins on a 9.86, just barely etching out Bracey and Bromell, who ran 9.88s. But you love to see it. Clean sweep for the Americans. Good stuff all around. Also, that happened, Savannah Austin, reigning gold medalist in the 10K, and just about every, long distance race there is. Upset, she finished 4th. She got upset by Giddy in the 10K, and in the women's shot put, America got their first gold medal with Chase Ely. So shout out to Chase, shout out to Giddy, and of course shout out to the big three, Curley, Bracey, and Bromell for getting the sweep. Gaudreau to the Columbus Blue Jackets, yes. My words do not deceive you in the NHL. We had some mad moves happen. He took a pay cut. He took a pay cut from Calgary to go to Columbus on 7 years, 9.8. He could have gotten more than that, but whatever it was, Gaudreau wanted to go to the Blue Jackets. He signs a huge deal. Might be a change of fortunes for the Columbus Blue Jackets. We'll see what happens. But yeah, getting Johnny G is a big move. The Canes get Patches for cash considerations. I don't know why Vegas gave us Max Pacioretty for cash considerations. A point-per-game player when healthy for cash considerations. But you know what? I will take it. It feels like we fleeced them. Maybe they know something we don't. But you know what? I will take Patches for essentially for free. For nothing. Not draft capital, not a player. We paid him. We paid for Max. I'll take it. I'll take it. And finally, in the Open Championship, it was not the dream weekend for Tiger. He didn't make the cut. He was in a lot of pain. Rest. You have nothing to prove. I'm going to say this before I get to Cam Smith. You have nothing to prove, Tiger. I know this is your addiction. You love this. You want to get back. But focus on your health. If you never play another round of PGA Tour golf or golf period in professional golf, it's okay. Your legacy is cemented as one of the greatest of all time. It sucks how it ended, but if this is it, we are at peace. At least as the fans, we are at peace. But if you need the peace of playing again, please just get healthy. Please just get healthy, and then you can pass the torch to Charlie, and he can be great himself. But yeah, Cam Smith wins the Open. It looked like it was Rory's weekend all weekend until the final day when Cam Smith just came through. The Australian with the mullet. They said he's a party in the back with the mullet. Well, he was a party on the back 9 because he surged all the way with a dazzling 8 under to finish the day and finishes the entire tournament with a 20 under. Yeah, just a dominant showing from Cam Smith in the final round. He gets it done at the Open. Rory ends up at 3rd, 18 under. But yeah, Cam Smith, he's been a pretty good name. For golf fans, you would know. Won the Players Championship, I think, 2 years ago. But really, yeah, since 2020, he's been kind of on the radar, and he finally breaks through and is able to get his first major championship. So congratulations to Cam Smith. Well, yeah, like I said, Tiger get healthy. Congrats to Cam. Rory, oh, so close. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have covered all of the major topics. Anything we got on it for this week. Next week is going to be a madness, and yeah, hopefully we get a 103 from the 305. That's the plan. We'll see what happens, but yeah, hopefully I see you guys next week. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Ocho signing off.